JR, thanks for taking the time to chat. Really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, man.
So what's the latest and greatest with Pig Destroyer?
Oh, let's see. Right now we're just got some downtime. You know, we had a bunch of, you know, we're not a band that plays out a lot, you know. So after we put out Head Cage, you know, we spent, you know, the later part of last year, like doing a lot of shows for us, you know. So right now we've just got a few months break, and the other guys, you know, Adam's doing some Misery Index stuff, and you know, we're just chilling.
Cool. So you know, you released Head Cage, that was released on September of 2018. How has the album been received over the past year by your fans?
I mean, I think it's been kind of polarizing, which I don't know, is kind of good in a way, but then because it, you know, it means that people are talking about it, and that, you know, it's not the same stuff that we've put out before, and people either seem to really like it or really not like it.
Gotcha.
So you know, but that's cool.
So can you tell me a little bit about how this album was produced, like the process?
Yeah, it was a little different than we've done in the past. You know, we've always been a very self-contained band from the very beginning. You know, Scott's basically always recorded us with a couple of exceptions. And he usually does all the production and the mastering and the mixing and all that stuff.
Okay, so you guys kind of like record separately and then bring him in the tracks and you guys lay it down? Like
no, he used to record all the tracks. Okay. Like Scott would literally, you know, basically take care of the whole production side of the record. But for this record, he wanted to just kind of concentrate on writing the music and just making the songs as good as he could. And then he recorded, you know, the sounds, but then we gave it to another person to mix. We went to Will Putney.
Okay.
He's done like some Body Count records, and like, you know, I think he did Acacia Strain. He's done a bunch of different bands, and we sent it to him to mix, and then I can't remember who did the mastering. Maybe it was Scott, but yeah, it was kind of a big deal for us to turn over the record for somebody else to mix, you know, because we'd never done that before. So, but we're really happy with the result. So that's good.
Okay, gotcha. So the album, you know, I was reading the album Head Cage. It's named after a medieval torture device. And was the name of the album a reflection at all on the process of making the record, or was it just a theme of the songs?
Yeah, I just thought it was a good kind of overarching theme for, you know, not just this record, but even some of the things that I've written in the past, you know, just mental struggles and just kind of being trapped in your own, you know, shitty existence kind of thing. To be honest, I wasn't even thinking about the torture device when I came up with it, but hey, you know, I'll take it. It's a torture device. It's pretty cool.
So there's so many great songs on this record. There's one song title that did stand out to me. It was The Adventures of Jason and JR. Can you tell me a little bit about the genesis of that song and what it means and it's about?
Yeah, it was kind of like, I've been wanting to have Jason sing on the record for a while. And, you know, finally we were able to get him in to do something, and just all the lyrics that I had ready just really didn't seem to fit his personality or kind of bring the vibe that I wanted. So I just decided to try to write something that was a little more in line with maybe a band that he's in. You know what I mean? Or basically like try it was like me writing an agoraphobic nosebleed lyric or something, you know, like just trying to do something you know, because the whole rest of the record is just all about like how the world sucks and my brain sucks and, you know, everything sucks. So, you know, I just kind of wanted to do something to kind of lighten the mood a little bit, you know? So I think I came up with the title first. And then it was sort of like from there, like being like, okay, well, what if I was hanging out with Jason, what would our adventures be, kind of thing. And I did it just, and then it just all kind of started to fall into place. I don't know where the ideas came from, but they all came pretty fast.
Yeah, there's mention of in the lyrics like Dick Cheney and Chevy Chase. I thought it was kind of cool. There's just lots of cool lyrics and references there.
Yeah, I get a kick out of the fact that a lot of people probably think I'm talking about the actor Chevy Chase, which makes the line 10 times funnier. But yeah, it's actually a neighbor, like a DC suburb. So maybe people will Google it and figure it out. I don't know.
So the band's done 2 craft beer releases with Three Floyds Brewery, which is an Indiana-based brewery, the Permanent Funeral and the Army of Hops. Can you kind of tell me a little bit about how that collaboration came together and kind of why you went with Three Floyds?
Well, I think, as far as like the craft beer thing, I think the link for most bands is probably Dave Whitty from Municipal Waste. He's kind of been on the craft beer tip for, about as long as I can remember. He was like one of the first guys that I hung out with who really was into it. And he developed a friendship with Three Floyds, and I think they did a beer with the Waste. They did a beer with like High on Fire and a couple other bands. And then we just kind of met them, and we're big fans of their beer, and they're big fans of the band, and it just kind of all seemed to work out. And then the bonus is that they make really awesome beer. So it just a great.
Nice. So the band's been together for almost 22 years now. What keeps the band driving on to produce, keep producing music?
Oh, well, I think that just, for one thing, Scott's just a really driven guy, and he's never the sort of person who rests on his laurels, once we're just a band where like once we make a record, we kind of forget about it, and then we sort of turn our attention to what the next record's going to be, and I don't think we've started turning our attention to the next record yet, but we've just always kind of been a band that just like tries to move forward, and tries to progress, and like, we just want to make the next record better than the thing that we did before, so I think especially nowadays, there's like a temptation to kind of, remix a bunch of stuff or like spend a bunch of time on something that you've done. But I've never really been that type of person. I just want to do the new thing. That's what art's all about, is the creation process to me.
Right.
So once something's created, then then that's out of my system, and then I can make room for some new ideas and try to come up with something new.
So recently I saw that your song "The Bug" off of Book Burner album was on CBS's MacGyver. There's actually a scene where MacGyver and his partner are being tortured, and then the song comes on and they cover their ears. What was your initial reaction when you saw that?
Oh, I thought it was great. Probably exactly how I would have used it, to be honest with you. Yeah, I thought it was clever. I mean, it was just a really short sample. I mean, they could have used any other heavy band pretty much, or they could have just banged some pots and pans together for a few seconds and done it for free. But, I'm glad they picked us. It was, it's a fun thing.
Yeah, when I saw it, I kind of laughed too, because I mean, I was like, even MacGyver, he can fix all these different things, but he wasn't ready for the wrath of Pig Destroyer.
Yeah, there's no solution for that.
So the band was formed in Alexandria, Virginia, which is pretty close to DC. Were you or any of the band members influenced by any of the DC hardcore punk, like hard rock scene?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, not just that, but I mean, I'm just influenced by a lot of like DC artists in general, like a lot of great bands and musicians here, but they also, the hardcore punk scene is maybe one of the most unique hardcore punk scenes, in the whole country. I mean, obviously Boston has a great scene, and LA and, all that, but, DC just kind of had its own vibe, and some of it was, like for me, especially, is the band Void, is my favorite DC, or I guess they're technically from Columbia, Maryland, but, as far as like local hardcore bands, that was definitely my biggest influence. And Minor Threat. You can't not be influenced by Minor Threat. If you play hardcore punk, then you're influenced by Minor Threat, either directly or indirectly, whether you like it or not.
Right.
It's sort of like the it's like even if you don't like the Beatles, if you play in a rock band, then you're influenced by the Beatles. You know what I mean? Like there's no really escaping it.
Yeah. So what's in the future for Pig Destroyer? Are you guys kind of starting to write new music, or just going to play new shows, or? Well,
we got I think in November, December, we finalized 2 new tracks. One of which will be a flexi disc, or a flexi in Decibel magazine. I'm not sure when that comes out, but sometime soon. And we also did another song that's going to be on Adult Swim for a project that they do. We did the Octagonal Stairway a few years ago. That was for the same Adult Swim series, so it's cool to work with them again. So we got those 2 things coming out, and I think the next thing for Scott is probably going to be doing some Agoraphobic Nosebleed stuff. So we'll see what happens with that.
Very cool, very cool. Well, Jarrett, thanks so much for taking the time to chat. I really appreciate it, and I wish you and the rest of the band the best on your future endeavors.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for the interview.
All right, take care. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel and follow Roadtunes Reviews on Blogger, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And as always, thank you so much for your support.